Welcome to Writer Therapy, a place for writers to talk honestly about creativity, process, and everything in between. In each session, host Timothy Columba speaks with writers at all stages of their journey. Learn about their challenges, breakthroughs, and the reasons they keep returning to the page. In this episode, we'll be talking to Kayleigh Shoen, a Boston-based flash fiction writer and writing coach. Kayleigh helps short story writers get started submitting their work for publication without getting overwhelmed and encourages submissions as a useful outlet.
So tell me all about yourself. What are you working on? And just tell me all about your writing life.
Yeah, I'll tell sort of kind of a version of the story that's on my website, maybe.
Yeah.
I always loved writing, but for whatever reason, I went to college and then I got into the working world, and then there were like a lot of years where I didn't do any writing at all. I was working in the finance industry, which was good for money, but I didn't feel like I was really surrounded by any. I didn't know any writers. I didn't even really know that many readers at that point.
Yeah.
And then when I was, I think around like 28, I went and took a writing class at GrubStreet, which maybe you're familiar with it. It's right in downtown Boston.
I don't know. You know, this is you're gonna be a good resource because I don't know anything. I'm an island over here with like in Boston writing. I don't know any writers or any community. So tell
Oh,
me
cool.
about
Yeah,
Grub
yeah.
Street.
Yeah, you should come and check it out. It's a writing community that's right in downtown Boston, and I think they got started in maybe the early 2000s or the late, 1990s.
Hmm.
But they run classes that are for people who, maybe have never taken a writing class and are just interested, all the way up to people who have published multiple books and are just looking for
Oh wow.
community. So, it at that point in time when I took my first class, it was on the Boston Common. Now it's in the Seaport, and it's in this beautiful center right on
Oh.
the water. There's a Porter Square Books on the first floor. They
Oh
do like
cool.
live events. It's really, really nice.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
now like a membership type thing, or is it just come in or do you pay for like a class, or how does it work?
Yeah. So some of the stuff is free. Um,
Hmm.
because it has the bookstore, there's a lot of events with writers, or sometimes there's like free writing events on weekends where, like 100 people will come in and just write together, or
Oh wow.
a submit-a-thon where tons of people will come in and just submit stories together. Um, and then the way that they mostly make their money is through classes. And so people will take
Okay.
like 6-week class, an 8-week class. So it's a really cool space. Yeah, you should
Yeah,
definitely
that's
come and check
awesome.
it out. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm so believe it or not, I'm like really shy. So I that kind of thing like scares the hell out of me, but I'm gonna have to, buckle up and do it. That sounds like
Yeah,
great.
actually, I think they have a podcasting studio too.
Oh, sweet. All right. Next time we'll meet up there. We'll have to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so you went there like once you decided to start writing, is that?
Yeah, yeah. So I was
Yeah.
just feeling like I don't know any writers. I need to meet some writers. And so I went and I took a class there, um and it kind of like just got me back in touch with writing. And the first class I took was 6 weeks, 6 stories. So every week we would get a writing prompt, and then the next week we would all bring in our little stories that we'd written, and share them and get feedback right away.
Cool.
And I came out with 6 stories.
Yeah.
So I felt like I had gone from, nothing to all of a sudden having a group of stories, and also having like 12 new writers that I knew.
That's
And
awesome.
then I stayed in finance for a couple more years, but then this was kind of in the recession days. And so when my finance job laid me off, then I went and got an MFA, and then now I'm teaching at Grove Street, which is really great.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. And sorry, so we talked before, you're from Michigan, and you come here for anyone listening, we were talking about this before. We're both from the Boston area. She's from Arlington, I'm from North Reading, and But did you come here for college? Is that what
Yeah,
brought you to Boston?
yeah.
Okay. Where did you go?
BU, Boston
Oh,
University.
okay. I went to BU's like step, redheaded stepchild school. I went to the BU Center for Digital Imaging Arts to
Oh, that
learn
sounds
video
interesting.
production. So it was like a Moody Street in Waltham. It was like a little kind of hole in the wall school. They ended up shutting down, but it was a great program. It was like, but anyway, I like technically went to BU, but I can't really say
Yeah.
it. You came out of GrubStreet. Now you teach there. And so tell me about your like personal projects. Like so what you came out of there with these 6 stories. Did you like what did you do with those? Like what do you do now? You have this content and you want to share. What do you do?
Yeah, so one of those stories was my first story I ever got published. And I didn't really know anything about how to get a story published. And uh and so it took me a little while, but then I got hooked.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that class we were writing, we didn't call it flash, but really it was flash fiction. And so that was when I kind of got started writing flash fiction. And now, like eventually I would really like to publish a novel, but I also really love writing flash. So I kind of go back and forth between writing flash and like working on, picking away at my novel.
So how would you describe flash fiction? Is it like super short or like how does it work? Like what
Yeah.
yeah.
So great question. I mean, the simplest way to describe it is just short stories that are under 1,000 words.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But then within that, there's actually this whole range of different kinds of stories. There's stories that are like 50 words, so really, really short. And then on the 1,000 word end, it really basically reads just like a regular short story.
Hmm.
There's a really wide range, which is great.
Yeah, because I can see, yeah, anything between 0 and 1,000 can be such a different
Yeah.
um grouping. Now, do you like tend towards like long, like up to 1,000, would you say? Like how do you feel? Like where do you fall in that for your usual? That's why I feel like the trouble I would have is stopping, Like how do
Yeah.
you do that?
I use my stories tend to start a little bit longer and then it's
Yeah.
easier for me to cut words. And so they get
Yeah.
shorter and shorter every
I'm the
draft.
same way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I like end up with a 50-word story and I started with like a 600-word story.
Yeah. So right now you're chipping away at a novel, you'd say, right? Can you tell me
Yeah. I
about that?
sort of, like 2024, 2025, I really was kind of focused on noveling, but now I'm kind of like, I'd really like to put together a chapbook of flash fiction.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm focused on right now.
Yeah, what is it? Dance with the girl who brought you, or
Yeah.
you know that saying? Yeah. I apparently don't know it. Okay, and so what is your genre, or is it in flash fiction? Do you find that you're sort of exploring different genres? How does that go for you?
Yeah, with Flash, you kind of don't have to decide.
Yeah.
Um, when I was growing up, I always really loved science fiction, so I always like that kind of speculative type stuff. But also I sometimes write something really realist. Like I said, the nice thing about Flash is that you often really kind of don't have to say. You can just write whatever you feel like, and people don't get too upset when it only takes them 10 minutes to read it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like even if it's science fiction, it's like you don't have that much time to um I don't know if you listened to my interview with Klaus Holm. He had an interesting point. He talking about fan fiction. Like with fan fiction, for example, you don't have to. If you're writing fan fiction about Star Trek, you don't have to describe the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, yeah.
With flash fiction, and say you're getting to something like sci-fi, is it that you just assume the reader knows? You know, the reader doesn't know how they got to Mars. They just know they're there. And like, does that kind of help you write things shorter? Would you say, like, assuming what the readers already know?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a really interesting thing of like what is science fiction that has to stay in the science fiction genre and what is science fiction that can be published anywhere.
Right.
And I have a lot of students who write science fiction, and they'll sort of come in and be like, am I allowed to share this? Like, this class is not really a science fiction class. And I think, yeah, like, there's a lot of background knowledge that you need to know sometimes. There's like a real deep kind of knowledge of the science fiction canon that has to go into it.
I see. I see.
But I think that that's a lot less common in flash fiction because you have so few words.
Hmm.
That why would you waste any of them talking about something super technical?
And so, your school's on school, journaling with Kayleigh, and short stories subs simplified. We'll start with the short story subs simplified. So, through would it be through GrubStreet or just like your own experiences? It seems like you've gotten to know the process of submitting short stories. How does that work? Like, tell me all about that world. And I've submitted one short story one time,
Oh, yay!
and it was really fun because it was something like you could sit with for a little. It was like a little idea, and it's like if it goes nowhere, it's fine. I loved writing it, and I had so much fun writing it. So I saw that, I'm like, that's really exciting to connect with her, and so I'm excited to hear about this. So tell me about like the world of short stories and submitting and all that. What should I know?
Yeah. So I think people are often really intimidated by submitting their work.
Hmm.
And it really, this is something that I get really excited about in my classes because I like to kind of take a student who's never even written, fiction before and just kind of say like, this is a great story. You wrote a great story. Send it out, you know?
Yeah, I love it.
Um, And a lot of times the student will send it and then it gets published. And so then by the end of the class, they've gone from, not even really thinking of themselves as a writer to now having a published story.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's like never been easier to get fiction published, at least probably overall, because publishing books even has become so much easier. But
Yeah.
with short stories, you don't have to mail it anywhere. You just go to the website and there's a big submit button and you click the submit button and then you just upload your story. I mean, it's a little bit more technical, but
Right.
you can do it in like 15 minutes. And I think writers get so much out of publishing their work. And yet I think a lot of us get kind of beaten down by this idea that we're like not worthy of being published, or we're supposed to like toil for years and years before our words are worthy of being read. And meanwhile, there's all these lit mags that are out there that are just like, can we get some good stories? Like, can
Yeah.
somebody send them to us?
So there's people who really want it.
Yeah.
That's great. What are the lit mags? Are there? They're just online literary magazines asking for, and who's the readers? Like, so the readers are just people who love reading short fiction.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, especially with flash fiction, I think that tends to often be people who are also writers because,
Yeah.
50-word story, it takes you literally 2 minutes to read it. So if you're interested in writing it, you're probably also interested in reading it. Um, but I mean, it's also a lot of places that you've already heard of, like the New Yorker publishes
Okay.
short stories. A lot of universities have lit mags that they run that publish fiction. Um, there's millions. I mean,
What's nice about that is like you don't have to have an agent, you don't have to be
yeah.
represented. Oh, that's fantastic. So tell me about your school and what are you doing there?
Yeah, so I really have this passion for somebody described it as beating people into submission.
I love it.
Um
Excellent.
it's I don't know, I just love, bringing people in, and then I just have a really quick class that they can take on the first day that's, the only 3 things that you need to submit, and it's just you have to write a short bio, you have to have a cover letter, um and you have to have a story that how to submit. And I just walk people through it, and within an hour, you can submit your first short story.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then I think after that, it becomes don't get overwhelmed
Right.
because there's just there's so many places to submit, and there's all these like Substacks and websites and all these places where you can go where they're just kind of bombarding you with like, this is open and they want horror stories. This place is open and they want fantasy about dragons. And this place is open and they want whatever. Um, and so as a writer, if you go to one of those places, you kind of feel like, well, I guess I could write that. I guess I could write
I
that. I have
see.
to hurry
Yeah.
up, you know? And so from there, I kind of walk people through how do you get the information you need when you need it? How do you keep track of what the places are that you should submit to first? And then where to submit next, and how to kind of keep on track and keep on top of everything without just feeling like you're being really whipped around by information anytime you try to look into the next place to submit.
Right. It seems like so there is a wealth of options, and you help people focus in on exactly,
Yeah.
I can see that because you're seeing opportunity, 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 opportunity. I think writers, the biggest challenge we all have is being seen and being noticed. And if anyone's willing to notice you, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, and you need to curate that. So that's great that you do that for them. And what happens after someone submits a flash fiction and it's published? There's obviously the joy of being published and like, but what can that do for a writer afterwards, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, you can make a little money out of it. Just, some
uh,
places will pay not a crazy amount of money, but like $75,
yeah,
$50, which is pretty good for,
it's better than what we're getting otherwise.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or sometimes they'll send you, a t-shirt or a
Yeah.
copy of the
I love
magazine
that.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, you can get if you're interested in teaching or in doing a residency or anything like that, it's really good to have publications on your CV. If, for example, you are writing a novel, then sometimes winning contests or getting really well published can be the way to get yourself an agent.
No, yeah.
So it can get you that attention, but I think the biggest thing is it makes you feel like you're a writer.
Yeah.
It
I
makes
love
you
it.
feel like you're a part of the community, and you kind of the thing with Flash is that people often publish a lot, and so you get to recognize people's names and they recognize your name, and you kind of like build your writing life in this way that is really hard to do if you're not publishing. And I meet a lot of people who are sort of like, I don't care about publishing, or I'll just, put it on Reddit, or I'll put it on my website, or I'll put it in my blog. And
Right.
that's totally fine for them. But if they're not doing it because they think that they can't get published, or if it's like secretly a desire that they have to be kind of like legitimized in this way,
Right.
then I just want to make it easier for people to do that because it's so much easier, I think, than beginning writers think it will be.
Yeah, the catharsis of just putting it out there and actually putting it to work. Like, Um, but yeah, I've seen that where it gives you some sort of credential too. It's like even if you're working on a larger project and you're querying or whatever, you can say, okay, I've been published in this. Sounds better than haven't been published at all, and wow, that's a great encouragement and that's exciting because it's like maybe I'll go revisit my old short story. I love it. Okay, very cool. And then tell me about the journaling. Journaling with Kayleigh.
Yeah, I started the journaling group first, because during the pandemic, I started teaching this journaling class. I was just kind of feeling like, it was such a weird time. And I was thinking, well, let me look back at Samuel Pepys and, some of these journalers from history who lived through kind of crazy times and see
Mhm.
how they coped with it. And people seemed really interested in that. And then I kind of, you know how like once you learn a new word, then you see it everywhere?
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
journaling was like that for me. Like I was just
Okay.
noticing journalers everywhere and different styles of journaling and different ideas for how to go about journaling. And so I just wanted to create a group where it's not like this is how you journal. Do my method and you will journal every day. It's like let's just come together and just talk about what we can do with this and what
Yeah.
experiments we can try and all the different approaches we can take.
And it's so funny. The other day I was complaining, I got a letter from my accountant and it was telling me what I owed. I was just really like, oh, like so depressed. And my brother goes, "You should start journaling, man." He does like counseling and things like that. So he goes,
Mhm.
"You really should journal because it seems like you're pretty stressed out." And I go, "No, like I was pulling like a stupid man mover. I'm like, I'll save it for my novel. Like I'll let it out in
Yeah.
my books. But honestly, I could see journaling just because you can just it's raw, right? What can people do with their journals? Um, Obviously there's like the private aspect and there's like the outlet. Um, what do people end up doing with their journals a lot of the time? Is it just it's for themselves, or do a lot of people like develop it into poetry or things like that?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I really identify with what you're saying about like, no, I'm going to save it for my novel because I
Yeah,
think as writers, it feels like I'm kind of wasting my words if they're not going into my novel or something.
right.
Um, I'm I'll be honest, like I kind of struggle sometimes with the journaling group because I'm like, but I need to write fiction. What am I doing journaling? um, but
I'm Italian, right? In my family, if you like cook one thing really well, like my mom makes a really beautiful salad dressing. It's out of this world, and we're all like, "Ma, you gotta put it in a jar. You gotta sell it." Like, what? No, why can't you just make it for the love of making it?
yeah,
But there's this. I don't know if it's an American culture or what it is, but there is a lot of pressure to like do something with everything you're doing. When
yeah,
really, journaling, it could just be just a beautiful thing for yourself. Why not, right?
yeah. Um, One of the things I really like about the group and about looking at how all different people approach journaling is that it makes you realize that no journal can be everything, you know? And so some people come to journaling because they just want to like brain dump,
Okay,
um,
yeah.
or like the Julia Cameron morning pages from the Artist's Way. Like that's just garbage. That's just get the garbage out and then
Mm,
throw it away. Like nothing is going to happen with those pages. Um, and then other people use it very much more like I'm creating this beautiful record for my family or for the people who come after me. Um, and um, and then I think there's also kind of a mode that you can go into, which is I'm gonna make interesting connections that I can come back to later. There's this writer, Say Shonigan. Have you ever heard of her?
no.
So she's from like the 10th century in
Okay.
yeah. Um and she had this book called The Pillow Book and it's this collection of just weird different things. She
Yeah.
was living in high-end Japan um and she was like living in this palace and so she's written all these little segments about what her life is like there. But then also she'll just have these lists of things
Oh,
like
I love it.
and the list will be things like things that keep passing you by. And it'll be like a sailboat and also people's mothers aging or
Hmm.
things that you will never find. And it's like a sharp pair of tweezers.
Yeah. All right.
It's like, but, um,
What
but
shows like humans are the same
yeah,
centuries ago and they are now,
I know, I
and
know.
I love that. I love
But
that.
But what's really cool about it is we don't actually know why she wrote it. We don't know if she wrote it intending for it to be published, but some people think that maybe she wrote it because her family were all these um, poem poetry writers, and maybe this was her method for making interesting connections that then would go into poems later. So I think
Okay.
that's kind of an interesting thing that you can do in a journal is maybe write a daily haiku, or maybe, write lists and then let yourself go back to the lists over time. I think people sometimes feel like journaling has to be like dear diary and then write down
Right.
everything you did that day. But actually it can be this kind of workbook for you that you can use in all these different ways.
I guess in for writers or fiction writers, like for example, in my notes app, I have a folder called ideas, and
Yeah.
it's if I'm in the shower and I think, oh, that would be good for that book. It's like I got 20 books in there that I want to write, and
Yeah.
so that is journaling, right? It's just a
Totally.
different. It's not formal, but that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
And then, so okay, so now you have this great community here in Boston at GrubStreet, and do you teach there full time? Is that like your full time job or?
No, that's just kind of catch as catch can,
Yeah.
however many classes I can get there. And then I also teach at the community education in Arlington.
Okay,
Um,
great.
and then now I'm on school, and then I also do kind of one-offs. The writing life is so.
Yeah. And so, what is your like writing and real life balance? Would you say like how often are you able to really sit and write? Like, and how do you make that time for yourself?
Oh my God, that's the question, right?
Isn't it? Isn't it?
I think like one of the things that I'm kind of hoping for from my school group is that I can put things on the calendar, and then because I have to show up for that, then I will
Yeah.
do some of my work there too. Um, but yeah, I don't have like a regular schedule. I'm very submission driven, so
Okay.
I will sort of tell myself, okay, I want to send some stories out today, and then I'll go back through my works in progress and see what seems like it's ready to go out, or what needs some more work. And that's kind of what I feel driven by is like, how quickly can I get this in front of somebody else?
How many like pieces of flash fiction would you say you have? I imagine you've like accumulated a decent amount over these years.
Um, I don't know. Uh, I have a lot of things where I'll write like two sentences and then I just save it and then I come back to it 3 years later. And I
Okay,
don't
yeah.
know at what point when does it become the story? I'm not sure. I've published like, um, I think like 13 or 14.
Well, it's a lot. And then how do you organize it? Like how do you know to come back to something? For example, I like to make music. I don't really like know music, so but I can do it by ear. So I would like take the keyboard, I plug it in, I'll get strings on, and I'll kind of come up with like a little melody, just like that, like two sentences, but musically, and then I put it away and so I know exactly what you're talking about. Is it that you come back to it because it's been like gnawing at you, all those sentences, or what makes you like come back to a piece that you started, like a short piece that you started?
I think it's such a good question. I think I start something in that way, or I'm in the shower and I get idea, or I walk the dog and I get an idea or something like that. But then working on a story after that is almost like it's usually I just want to have written something, or I want
I see.
to write something, and then I kind of just go and look at what I have.
Okay, great. So you're almost prompting yourself in that way. Like you had a prompt earlier, you wrote it, and then you come back and now you've okay, I love that.
What I love about Flash is that it's short enough that I can kind of keep it all in my head at once.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to balance like characters and worlds and continuity and all that. I have chapters that are like 3,000 words, and it's like days and days and days of work
Yeah.
to edit it, and it's kind of like it can be a drag, even though it's fun. It can be a drag. I love it. You've opened my world to like short stories again in flash fiction,
Yeah.
because I can see it as the release of like putting something out there, like I'm doing all this writing and no one reads it, so it'd be
Yeah.
nice to put something out there. I love that.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's so good for novelists because you just are spending so much time working on something and not knowing if it's good or not. And
Yeah.
so just getting a little validation of somebody saying, yes, you're a good writer. This is good. We want this, can just keep you going so much.
I just recently, for writer therapy, I've like gotten into social media. I'm seeing so much of the like writers on there. Do you share any of your work like on social media like that, or do you share your work outside of submitting, or um is it all like through submissions?
I share my work with other writer friends, but I would not put anything on social media before it's published
Yeah, yeah,
because
that's a good idea.
then sometimes they like consider it published and then you can't do anything
Oh,
with it.
oh, wow. And that's how it works, where like if something's already they want exclusivity. Is that how it works? That's something to consider. All
Yeah.
right, great. Well, do you have any tips for other writers out there? Any knowledge you want to pass along?
I mean, obviously I'm going to say submit it.
Yeah.
Even if you're a novelist, maybe you have a chapter that you could make into a standalone story and publish.
That's a great
Um,
idea.
or um, or maybe you can just take a little bit of time and write like a 50-word story and submit it. I just think community is so important. Validation is so important. A lot of us, we got into this because we wanted there to be a little give and take, and we wanted our words to be read. And um and it's not that hard. It's a lot easier than you might think it is.
I love it. And that's a great idea yeah, like why not develop a chapter as a short story? Why not? That's a great idea. So about GrubStreet, um, is it just Boston, like that one school? It's an independent school. Where do I learn more about that? And like maybe taking classes with you? Where could I learn more about that?
Yeah, I mean, the best place to go to learn about classes with me is KayleighShoen.com.
Okay.
And then the different places where I teach, GrubStreet is grubstreet.org. Um, Arlington Community Education is just for locals. It's just in-person
Right.
classes, but I think that's arlingtoncommunityed.com. I think that's all I have right now.
And that's good to know, even like, look at your local community
Mhm.
education programs, right? Because you can find classes like that you teach and nice people like you.
Thanks. I mean, we're really
Well,
spoiled in Massachusetts.
yeah.
There's so many. I mean, you can just go to community ed and you'll meet such good writers, both teaching
It just
and also
takes
reading.
getting out there. Like you have to just put yourself out there. I don't know why I'm so shy about it. I just have to like leave my house. Well, I appreciate it, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll
Yeah,
be seeing each other around school. And thank you so much. It was so great talking to you.
great. Thank you. You too.
All right, awesome.
Bye.
You can learn more about today's guest in the description and show notes. Connect with Tim on Instagram at Writer Therapy Sessions or Timothy Columba Writes. If you enjoyed the conversation, please like, rate, subscribe, and share to help our guests reach new readers and help others discover the show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next session.